There's a boy in one of my classes. His name is Tom. He's 12 now. And for a very long time I couldn't understand why was he never participating in any of my classes. I mean, I tried everything I could come up with after 4 months of teaching, but he would just sit still, almost sleeping, never answering any questions or paying any attention to group activities. He had even said to me once that the only reason he came to school was to make his parents not be mad. I was out of options, but I didn't want to give up on him, so I started following him on Twitter, stalking through his tweets, and I realized that Tom mentioned fishing very often in his tweets. Fishing with his dad on Sundays, fishing with friends after school, so on. I had nothing to lose, so what I did the next day in my class was I related one Latvian grammar topic to fishermen's lives. I watched his reactions very closely while explaining the task, and then dividing students into groups where they would try to analyze two fishermen's dialogue and their language skills. And it was almost hard to believe what I saw when suddenly his posture, that was usually like this, turned into all straight back, chin up, very sparkly eyes, very interested, because he started paying attention very carefully to which group he would be in, just to start telling his own fishing stories, as he later did. He was participating and his group finished the task. After that class, I told him I had read his tweets because I wanted him to realize that someone was actually reading them, and since then both his attitude and his tweets have changed. So Twitter kind of really helped. My name is Ant. I teach Latvian language and literature in secondary school, and I've been a teacher for only 1 year, but there's something that I already feel very strongly about, and I don't think it's going to change in the nearest future. Here it is. Social media like Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, Tumblr are now one of the major settings where our kids' socializing activities take place. It's not the future. It's happening right now. That's the present. So in order to teach our students how to use these social media tools safely or find reasons why not to use them, we need to see their natural behavior in that environment. Instead of keeping the distance, I choose to engage with my pupils on Twitter and Instagram. I can only benefit from that because, for example, if I post a picture of me and my friends riding a bike on Friday evening, or if I express my indignation about the latest ice hockey game shown on TV, my students see me as equivalent, as someone they share the same interests with. And I discovered in the summer school communication session that sharing builds trust. And trust is something, well, that's my ultimate goal. My ultimate dream, knowing that my students see me as someone trustworthy. And once I have built this trust, by sharing and engaging with my students in this growing social environment, I can use it very wisely to show an example, to be a role model, because I really believe that teachers should be role models to their students. But what's the point of trying to be that if they don't trust us, if they don't see us as someone worth taking an example from? And for that I use social media. One of the very often mentioned risks of social media is bullying. I was bullied for 5 years when I went to school, and there was no Twitter or Facebook back then. I used to cry every day walking back home, but when in front of my parents or teachers, I pretended everything was great. I did that because apparently that's exactly what kids do if they're bullied. They don't talk about it to anyone. So no one knew what was happening to me because no one had ever heard or seen it. Bullying has always existed, and as sad as it sounds, it probably will always exist in some level. But if this useless and stupid communication happens in social media, it's easier for us to notice it, to talk about it, and to fight with it. At least that's how I see it. Twitter is also very useful as a feedback or even reflection tool in the classroom. Often at the end of the class, I ask my pupils to write a tweet mentioning one thing they learned that day, or one subject-related interesting thought of their own by using specific hashtags. Or for my native language class, I've asked my students to print out their own tweets or Facebook posts so that we can analyze their own grammar mistakes. I see it as a chance to connect classroom activities with their real lives, their own experiences that are very widely described by themselves using their social media accounts. And when in class, Tom is looking at me with those small squinted brown eyes that very often look still sleepy from the other classes he's had that day. I see that he's hearing me, and because he trusts me, then I know that I'm doing something right. And in this case, doing the right things started by reading his Twitter posts. So to sum up, I want to pay your attention once again to what Nicholas said at the roundtable session in the summer school. Do you remember the metaphor about where he compared a knife to social media? So the knives were really invented for very practical and necessary reasons, and at some point of our lives we are introduced to knives' practical value. But I want to add something to this metaphor, because the thing is, it's adults actually using knives for hurting or even killing people, not babies. It's adults who grew up listening for hours about the practical usage of different tools, spending maybe just a few minutes talking about kindness. So I think that instead of worrying so much about the tools and the many different ways kids may use them, we allow them to explore, we build trust by sharing, and most importantly, we keep looking for new ways to teach our kids things that really matter. Things like kindness, sympathy, tolerance, self-respect, so that neither a knife nor Facebook are ever used to do harm. Thank you.